Now, we have something very exciting in this video. And what's exciting about it is we get to talk about a new Mets #1 prospect. And this comes from Baseball America. I'm going to read you from MetsMerizedOnline.com. But before we get into this, I need you to subscribe. If you're a Mets fan that loves the Met farm system, want to follow the players that are in the farm system, this is the channel for you. As far as I know, I don't think there's any other Mets channel that's like this. You see channels that, they talk about the major league team, they talk about the minor league team, the draft, all in one channel. But I don't think there's any channel that's dedicated towards the Mets farm system, their prospects in their minor leagues like this one is. But I have something very exciting, and this is a new #1 from Baseball America. Baseball America names Ronnie Mauricio Mets top prospect. Now that is a surprise that a lot of people, including myself, are very surprised about. I would mention that going into last offseason, Ronnie Mauricio had kind of been spinning his wheels as a prospect. That a lot of people were not too impressed with him. He had sort of a middling kind of year last year. It didn't look like he was really taking a step forward in his game, because he has some sort of weaknesses. He doesn't get on base enough. He's a guy that swings the bat. He doesn't have any speed. He's not a speed guy. His defense, he's not going to be really a shortstop long term, just based off of how he is physically and the fact that the Mets have Francisco Lindor for a long time. So he did not have a good season last year. But he went into the offseason. He had a huge Dominican League's, winter time. He was the MVP of the Dominican League last year. He had a huge spring training with the Mets. Due to the fact that the World Baseball Classic, he had a lot of time to play for the Mets, as well as Mark Vientos, Francisco Alvarez, and Brett Baty. All these guys had a lot of opportunities to play in spring training. So Mauricio has obviously now, he's really elevated himself on a lot of lists. And Baseball America has released their updated mid-season 2023 top 30 prospects for each major league team. With Francisco Alvarez, Brett Baty, and Kodai Senga having graduated from prospect status, New York Mets top 30 looks almost radically different from the preseason. In their reevaluation of the Mets farm system, Baseball America did not include players from the June 2023 draft. As a result, prospects like Howard Hoke and Brandon Sprout are not included in the rankings, while they are omitted. The following 30 are. Now, there are new names on this list. And you're going to have to subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to find their scouting reports and I'm going to talk about them over the course of whenever I can get around to that. But you will have these different players and these different names. These are so many different names on here that I do not know much about. And this is top 30 from Baseball America. Baseball America is the traditional authority, the oldest authority on Major League Baseball's minor league system. That is the authority, more than MLB.com. They are the granddaddy. They're the ones that put out the very first publications on these minor league teams. And they've been doing this since the 80s. I used to have a subscription to it. That used to come in the mail every few months or something. And it was awesome to read it. Sometimes I get it on the newsstand, and I got a subscription for a few years. It's awesome. #1, second baseman, left fielder, shortstop, Ronnie Mauricio. As you know, Mauricio has been transitioned into other positions, and they've been doing that over the last 2 months. #2, Kevin Parada, a catcher. We know about Kevin. He's kind of compared to Gary Carter offensively, and he's been hitting a lot of home runs in Brooklyn, which is a very difficult place to hit home runs, and that New York Penn League is not an easy place to hit home runs to begin with. #3, shortstop, center fielder, Jet Williams. Right-handed pitcher Mike Vassell. He pitched in the Futures game a few weeks back. Alex Ramirez, an outfielder. He has kind of taken a step back. We'll see how he's been picking it up the last few days. Hopefully he really picks it up. #6, third baseman, first baseman, DH, Mark Vientos. I would mention, as I record this video, the Mets have decided to bat him second against the Yankees. #7, Blade Tidwell, right-handed pitcher. #8, Jesus Baez, a shortstop. Right-handed pitcher Christian Scott. Keep an eye out for Christian Scott. Third baseman Jacob Reamer, who's number 10. Number 11, Luis R. Rodriguez, a left-handed pitcher. I've done a video on him. Calvin Ziegler, a right-handed pitcher. His new name. Outfielder Matt Ruddick. Number 14, right-handed pitcher Dominic Hamill. Number 15, Daverson Gutierrez. We'll keep an eye on him. He's a catcher. Keep an eye on him. I'll have a video up on him in a few days. Ramon Gomez, a right-handed pitcher. That's a new name. Tyler Stewart, right-handed pitcher. He is been pitching in Brooklyn, and he is on the come. He's a guy that is really elevated himself very, very quickly over the last month in Brooklyn. Right-handed pitcher Coleman Crowe, they acquired him for Eduardo Escobar a few weeks ago. Joel Diaz, a right-handed pitcher. Junior Santos, a right-handed pitcher. Landon Marceau, the other pitcher that they acquired from the Angels. Number 22, shortstop Christopher Larez. We'll have a video on him in the next few days. Right-handed pitcher Leonel Vallis. Number 24, Jordani Ventura, right-handed pitcher. Number 25, Jose Buto, a right-handed pitcher. Luis Moreno, a right-handed pitcher. Rowdy Jordan, he's a new name. Outfielder, second baseman. We'll have a video up on him at some point. Candido Savas, another right-handed pitcher. D'Angelo Sarmiento, a shortstop. And Nick Morabito. And I've done a video on him. He is hitting like crazy in the Florida Complex League. This is reordering at the top when it comes to Met prospects. In May, Baseball America had rated Parada as the top prospect, who has not been in the majors. He's now been surpassed by Mauricio, who has a 106 WRC plus with Syracuse. Notably, the Mets have moved him off of shortstop in an attempt to find an eventual place for him at the major league level. Evaluators are starting to compare him to Alfonso Soriano as an offensive player. The thing about Mauricio is he doesn't have speed, and he's a switcher, which is a little bit different than Soriano. With his struggles with Brooklyn this season, we've seen Alex Ramirez's stock take a hit. He's at the top 100 rankings, and while he has held steady as the fifth best prospect, he remains in that position after 3 promotions to the majors. Now, a couple of things about Mauricio, before I forget. Mauricio has gotten on the top 100 best prospect list. So he wasn't on there coming into the season, but he's on there now, I believe. And obviously Mauricio is off. For Mets fans who've been frustrated by the team's ability to produce pitching, the top 30 has a boon of pitching. Out of the 30 prospects ranked 17 of them are pitchers. That includes 3 in the top 10, and it doesn't include who they drafted this year. But the guys to keep an eye on is Christian Scott, Mike Vassell, Tyler Stewart, and Blade Hidwell. Those are the 4 guys you really need to keep an eye on. This season, we have already seen the Mets produce 2 quality Major League players and Sanger perform well, each of whom have star potential. With Mauricio and Vassell, there are 2 more who could contribute by the end of this year or at some point in 24. Overall, the Mets are starting to see their minor league system produce players, which was one of the stated goals when Steve Cohen purchased the team. The easiest thing for any team to do is produce from within. Because if you have talent that's ready to go, you don't have to struggle to fill a need through a trade. And the Mets have sort of struggled over the last few years because, they didn't draft. It's funny. The early part of the 2010s, they drafted really well. And then from 2015 on to those 5 years on, they didn't draft well. But since 22 and 23, they've drafted really, really well. This is exciting news for Ryan Mauricio because he had taken a step back. This is why you sort of lead these guys in the minor leagues for a long time. That's the benefit of having them in the minors. So they develop down there. If you'd say you brought up Mauricio last year, he might have been a disaster. Might have put him back years. That's why you got to be very careful about how you promote these players, even to the system. Have they mastered the system? Have they mastered a level in the minor leagues? Well, You let me know what you think about this video. This is very exciting news. Trust me. This is big news for the Mets and really for Met fans. And Mauricio will play with the Mets this year. So if you want to know what's going on with him, the Mets will call him up at some point this year. I would be very surprised if he's not with the Mets in August. Whether they are sellers or buyers. Especially if they're sellers. If they're sellers, he's going to be here. Without a doubt. So let me know what you think about this video. Of course, please subscribe to the Prospect Hut. Thank you. And I'll see you later.